Pug is gonna let you live new lives. How? Well, it's funny you should ask. Let me explain it to you. Hey
everyone, welcome to this actual play of Disposable Heroes. We're going to be demoing the system a little bit for you here, showing off what goes on in your typical game. We're going to join our players a little bit midway through a delivery just so we can get through this in the amount of time that I'm sure you all can be bothered to sit down and watch a bunch of random people play a game you've never heard of before. Let's do introductions just very quickly. Just slightly off camera, we have Ren, the designer of the game and chief artist behind it. Say hello, Ren.
Hello.
And so if you hear that voice, that's Ren. That's where she's at. We have Kate here, who has been an editor, artist, writer, and other person at Sandy Pug Games for a long time. I've done a lot of work on Americana and other games. Oh, and a translator. You translated a couple of games. And Chris, who has done nothing with Sandy Pug Games, really. You've helped. You've been emotional support.
I'm a fan.
Yeah.
You've taken care of the pug.
Yeah, absolutely taking care of the pug. That definitely counts.
Workstabber.
Yeah, Chris was one of the people doing the art for Orcstabber. So if you're here from Orcstabber, there's a very real chance that your game was put together, packaged, shipped, and drawn all over by Chris here. A very real chance. You did quite a lot of those.
Yeah, I cranked them out.
Yeah, and he was the armorer, the official armorer.
Yeah, the Orc armor was from Chris. This is stuff that literally no one here knows about. So, let's go over Disposable Heroes really quickly. Just a very quick blow-by-blow of the rules. Disposable Heroes is a Powered by the Apocalypse game that most closely resembles Dungeon World. If any of those words make sense to you, great, you can skip the next 30 seconds or so. If they don't, it's very, very simple. Powered by the Apocalypse is what is usually called a narrative-first game, in that the characters and players describe what happens, and then we use what are called moves to react to that thing, and see how the rules work out. There's a bunch more to it. You can just look up Powered by the Apocalypse or Dungeon World to get a little bit more of a grounding in that. The important thing for you at home to know is that the system is a 2d6 plus stat system with 3 degrees of success. So whenever someone does something and it triggers a move, almost always they will take 2 6-sided dice, roll it, and then add a relevant stat. And if they roll under 6, they fail. If they roll 7 to 9, they succeed, but at cost, is how it's usually phrased. And then if they hit 10 or above, they succeed stylishly or with some added bonus. That's basically what the whole system breaks down to at its core level. And our game really is no different. That is the core engine powering it. But the difference is, in Powered by the Apocalypse games, you have things called playbooks, which are sort of character sheets that have a series of rules about how you play that character. So the Barbarian, for example, has a bunch of moves about being an outsider in a strange land, or the Fighter has a bunch of moves about being big, strong, and having a cool weapon. That sort of thing. In Disposable Heroes, we don't do that. In fact, you don't have character sheets, really, in Disposable Heroes. You have cards. Everyone here has already gotten one card, and we'll go over who everyone is playing as, but basically, everyone at the beginning of a game of Disposable Heroes are given a card from this deck. This little deck that I have in front of me right now has about 35 characters in it, and the final deck that we're hoping to put together will have at least 65, maybe 90 if we get some of those stretch goals. In here, a card here has a class on it, so this is the Gambler. It has an animal, which we'll get to in a minute. It's got a name, a bunch of stats. I don't know how well you can see this. It's got a bunch of stats here. There's Ren's character. It's got a bunch of stats, it's got a weapon, and it's got a special move. This layout is not great, because I put it together in one evening, so we have a playtest set, but we have a fantastic layout done by Francita, who you shall go check out. I'll tag them in this if I put it on Twitter. They're great, they're our layout artist, and they have done a fantastic job. We're really excited to get a better version of these cards. But for now, they're serviceable. You may have heard that they have an animal on it. In Disposable Heroes, not only are you playing as a class, you're also playing as an animal, with all the powers and abilities that animal might have. How does that work in setting? That's up to you at the table. These can be anthropomorphic characters, these can be humans with animal powers, these can be actual, literal animals. It's up to you, and it's totally up to your own table in your own head how you want to handle it. We think it's more fun that way. the most important part, the disposable part of it. So, you've got a card. You'll notice, well, you won't notice because the camera's all the way over there, but take my word for it. There's no health on this card. There's nothing describing how much HP they have. Thank you, Ren. It does have armor, but it has no HP. That's because whenever you take a hit in Disposable Heroes, your character dies. They get discarded, and you draw a new one. And you're back in the game with a new character, new abilities, new powers, that sort of thing. This makes it sort of a very different feel than basically any other RPG that I've ever played. It's close to almost the meat grinder style, old school D&D that used to be the only game in town. But I think that our game's a little bit more like, it's got more levity to it, it's more fun. And you're not really doing a meat grinder so much as you're just cycling through a constantly changing set of abilities and weapons. You can almost think of the characters as equipment that you're picking up as you go and having to use very quickly. We like to think this is kind of like a roguelike inspired element to the game. Disposable Heroes takes place in a fantasy modern setting, and you all play as delivery people who are trying to get a package to some, lich or demigorgon or dragon. In this case, they're delivering a package to the golden dragon of infinite glass, who lives in an enormous glass pyramid that floats somewhere above a subway downtown. When we pick up with our heroes, they've already progressed some ways into the castle, into the pyramid, and they find themselves in an enormous, ostentatious hallway, covered in beautiful tapestries, large tables that could seat easily 100, 200 people. There's a gilded throne at one end, and from the sky, from the ceiling, this huge vaulted ceiling, there hangs easily a dozen beautiful crystal chandeliers. One quick thing before we move on that I forgot to mention. In Disposable Heroes, one other thing you have to keep in mind is that you have a package to deliver. We generally in Disposable Heroes, at the beginning of the session, you will sit down and decide what that package is. Kind of a variable difficulty level sort of thing. If you want an easy game, not so much easy, but if you don't want to have to deal with extra challenge, you can just say the package is a small, handheld thing that doesn't take two hands to carry around, isn't easily breakable, that sort of thing. But you can add modifiers if you want, and so you could say maybe it's small, but it's glass inside, or it's fragile. Or maybe it's enormous and requires... or a piano, or... If you want to make the game easier, you can also say it's bulletproof, or it's, it lights up, so you have an extra light source, that kind of thing. It's a neat way that we think of making this item really important and also kind of a part of the experience and to change how the game feels. I think for this quick demo, it probably makes a lot of sense to say it's a medium-style package. Maybe it requires one of you to be holding it at any one time. You can't just put it in a bag. But other than that, it's basically non-breakable. It's not fragile or anything. Okay?
Yep.
Alright, great. So we'll get started then. You enter the hallway. What do you do?
Well, what does the hallway look like?
As I said, it's a big, ostentatious hall, almost like a throne room or like an ancient dining hall. It's beautiful. It's magnificent. Maybe one of the most beautiful places you've ever been. Beautiful marble tile floors.
Are there any doors?
The one that you just walked through, the big double doors, obviously. You can still feel the heat of magma behind you from the lava chamber that you just exited. At the end of the corridor, behind the throne, you can see a very small service door.
Awesome. Is there any water?
Only the one that I have in my hand.
Can I have some?
Yeah.
Can I sniff the tapestries and see if I can tell who was here before us?
Yeah. You step forward and find your face bonked on an invisible barrier of some kind.
Oh. Can I get around it if I move to the side?
If you like sort of sneak around, you try to like feel it out. Yeah. It's a wall. It extends for quite some ways until it turns. And as you follow the wall, you disappear from the sight of your companions.
Well,
where did you go?
Ooh, I should...
Ricardo!
Yeah, I am Ricardo the pacifist pitbull. So I think I should use my air cannon to shoot a blast of air up into the air and see if I can jingle the chandelier and signal to my friends where I've gone.
Okay. Yeah, that works. That's fine. You point it up, pull the trigger, and the chandelier rattles directly above where Ricardo is, which is to say, literally 3 feet away from you, as if they are just standing directly in front of you. They're standing about 3 feet away from where they vanished. Really not that distant.
Well, I will bring forward my wizard staff and attempt to make this invisible wall visible.
Okay. So on each card we have a special ability, and Chris is playing as
Luca the wizard,
who has the special ability to cast spells.
and is a turtle.
The turtle.
So go ahead and roll 2d6 plus, I think it's intelligence on the wizard. Ooh, that's not great.
Snake eyes.
Including the +2, I got 4.
So Disposable Heroes is designed to be hyper-lethal. And so we encourage GMs, and the table, it should be everyone's decision, to kill people a lot more than you would in basically any other role-playing game. So, Chris, when you hold up your staff and speak forth the ancient words of your craft, what terrible calamity befalls you?
Well, unfortunately, the spell works, in my opinion, to make this invisible wall visible, but it does so by pulling all the blood out of my body and spraying it all over it.
Gross.
The end, Luca.
So, a quick note for anyone watching. That's more of a 7 to 9 move, but I like it so much I think we'll go with that.
Unfortunately, it was a success, but I couldn't help myself.
I dig it. So, Luca dies, we draw a new character, and we now have
Tichu, the gambler, hyena.
Tichu the Gambler, the Hyena. How a character rejoins the party is totally up to you again. We just said portals. We just said the Disposable Heroes app, which you all work for, just sort of facilitates a portal to the nearest party leader.
We get a little zzz.
Yeah.
As a hyena, smelling of turtle's blood is very exciting and causes them to come running.
So the wall in front, so all around you in the room, suddenly all of these walls are slick red with turtle blood. They are reflective though, so even with this layer of red all over them, you can see your own reflection in them. You are in a hall of mirrors, a hall of enchanted mirrors, and it is a labyrinth. With the aid of the blood, it's very easy to tell where Ricardo has gone. Ricardo just walked behind one of the walls.
Ooh. I think I'm gonna have a look around for Ghost.
Okay, that sounds like a good idea.
Yeah.
Ren is playing as a soul tamer, which in our game, they can talk to ghosts and what have you.
What kind of animal are you?
I am Jokia the Soul Tamer, an elephant.
Mm-hmm. So, let's do a roll plus wisdom.
Alright.
I think that's how Discern Realities works. Tell me if I'm wrong, viewers.
I like it.
I like it.
Wisdom seems right.
That's good.
A 10.
12.
Oh, excellent. So, in the interest of speeding things along, I'll just narrate what happens. What happens with Discern Realities is that the player's usually allowed to ask questions and stuff. But we're doing a demo. It's not really an important part of the actual deck part of the game. So, take my word for it that Ren would be asking you some questions now. You sort of envelop yourself in your craft of ghosting, and you detect a distinct spirit in every panel of the mirrors as you close your eyes and open your ghost sense. Every single panel of the maze that you're in has its own ghost trapped inside of it. They're not very happy.
Ooh. Is the hyena near me?
Yeah, you're all together basically.
Oh, okay.
What's up?
Well, I relay this information right away.
Can I hear it?
Yeah. I mean, like I said, you are basically right next to them.
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird.
That's a lot of ghosts.
Maybe we should just break the wall.
Well, hang on. Hang on. I would like to go up to the mirror in front of me, and I would like to try and make friends with the ghost. Mm-hmm. In the most Pibble way possible, I'm gonna jump up and do a big lick.
Okay.
And try and basically say, "Hey, friend."
Okay.
Let's hang out.
I'll say that with Ren translating into ghost, ghosts probably like dogs, right?
I mean,
unless
there's
they're
ghost
crappy
dogs.
ghosts.
I'll say at the very least, this mirror, sort of pulses a dull blue, and sort of becomes this soft, more solid surface. And in it, you see the face of an old woman, very, very faintly, like you've dragged the opacity down in Photoshop to like 5%. You see her in the mirror. But perhaps in almost like a portrait look. Like it looks almost like a portrait.
You're talking like creepy Victorian portrait?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I asked the ghost if I can do anything for her.
She says, in a funny voice that I won't attempt here, she says that there really isn't anything you can do. She and everyone here is trapped in the mirrors. She is a gentle spirit. She's managed to hold on to herself and her identity for most of the time that she's been here. But everyone else here has unfortunately, most of the other spirits anyway, have unfortunately lost their way. They're all very vengeful. And their job is that when you get lost in the maze long enough, they'll eat you, basically. You're the only substance that they get, or sustenance that they get. She doesn't think that you can do anything for her particularly, and she warns you to leave this place.
Being delivery people, would any of us have, like, a cassette player on us?
I don't know how A connects to B. I don't think so, no.
Like a boombox? Like a...
Well, I was going towards boombox, but like a little more portable.
D battery.
Yeah. In the Neo Francisco.
I think we're probably focusing on carrying the package, because it seems like it's a bit unwieldy.
You almost certainly don't just have a cassette player on you. Okay. I don't see why you would.
I was just hoping to give these ghosts some music.
Sure. That makes sense.
You could trumpet.
Oh,
you have a built-in trumpet.
You are an elephant.
Ooh.
But then you have to make the elephant noise at the table.
Mandatory.
And let's be honest,
It's
it's not like a whale. It's not beautiful.
It's just like toot.
Not to toot my own.
As you're all debating what to do with the spirit in the mirror, Kate, we'll say Ricardo, he hears a cracking noise behind them. And as you turn, you see a pin-pricked spiderweb crack in one of the mirrors at the end of the sort of little passageway that you're in start to spread and take over the whole mirror.
Oh, I would like to run away from that.
Okay. Do you want to run back to the party?
No, I want to run further in.
Okay.
Does this count as rejecting violence?
It can do.
Violence against mirrors!
There really isn't any immediate violence going on around you, so it may not be. It's certainly scary, I won't disagree.
Psychological violence.
I just realized that's basically Scooby-Doo.
Yeah.
No, cuter.
As you flee further into the maze, you see this sort of spindly, bony hand come out of the mirror as you run by, try to grab you by the hair.
Well, I would like to swing around on my haunches and go and put my paw in the hand to shake hello.
Let's roll plus charisma then. That sounds like you're trying to...
Would you like to gamble?
Please tell us more about that.
If I succeed, you get bigger dice.
I want to try that, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So our gambler goes first.
Yeah.
Alright. So this is plus charisma. Yes! 3 plus 2 making
Rolling
5.
so good.
Zoinks.
So, I attempt to assist you by judging fate appropriately, and as the hand reaches out and you reach out for the hand, I try to. I don't know. I'm at a loss for a moment.
What if as you're there, sort of offering to gamble, you've got your setup, your gear, your games, and so on that you're going to play with to bend fate. Just from behind you, a second hand that no one was paying any attention to just grabs you. You're pulled into the mirror, and for a brief second, there's a outline of you being up against the mirror, and then you fade away into nothing.
No, Tifu! Oh, no.
And
We knew
all
you
that's
for half
left
a seat.
is a pair of dice on a 1 and a 2!
We are going through them today, folks.
Oh, this is a Squirrel Ranger. Red.
May Red live longer than...
Or not.
Or not.
Red dead.
We'll see.
So,
Is there a hand still coming for...
we're still going to do Ricardo's move, because
Okay,
that was
that's
just
right.
a interruption
Okay,
there.
so charisma, you said. I thought this might count as rejecting violence, but
Actually, that's a very good point. I think it could count. You could roll plus wisdom and do it that way instead.
So I'm rejecting violence because I don't want to believe that the hand means anything bad towards me, and I have, in fact, been trained very well with tricks, and I'm a very good dog.
Okay.
So, manners will get you everywhere. That is a 10.
Excellent. So on a 10, everything you want happens. Could you go ahead and read the text on what happens?
Yes. When you reject violence, as Ricardo the pacifist pitbull, explain why and roll plus wisdom, which is plus 2. On a 10 plus, the fighting stops, calmer heads prevail. You now have leverage for the purposes of parley.
So when you talk to someone in the game, when you're trying to talk people down, when you're trying to bargain, you use a move called parley. So for a moment, the ghostly hand stops, and it curls around your paw, and you're just sort of there for a moment. Would you like to parley with this creature?
Yes.
Go ahead and roll plus your charisma.
That's 7.
Okay, but you have leverage, so in the case of a 7 on this, usually what happens is the creature needs some concrete assurances that whatever you're asking for, it's solid. But I'll say that you've put in the work, it's all good. The creature takes your hand, and just around where its sort of shoulder would meet the mirror, there's a slight blueness. The mirror itself is still red, but there's a slight blueness. You buy yourself some time. What do you want?
I would like it to help show me and my friends the way through the maze.
Okay. Yeah, I tell you what, it can probably give you like half of that. It can probably get you most of the way.
Okay.
But the ghost communicates to you through this empathetic connection that you have. That halfway through the maze, there's this a sort of a clearing with a fountain, and it's you've been to the middle of labyrinths before, right, viewer? That's a thing people are doing these days, labyrinths. In the middle of labyrinths, there's often like a big shrubbery or something to see. Just the same here. There's an enormous crystal sort of. That's a Monty Python joke there, which for the vast majority of the viewers is a TV show your grandparents used to watch.
What kind of shrubbery?
A beautiful crystal one sitting in the center of this labyrinth.
Okay. So it can get us there.
It can get you
safely.
there. Yeah.
Cool.
So it lights the way. There's the occasional mirrors flashing to show you where you should turn and where you shouldn't. Very rarely there's a hand that comes out, but almost like some invisible force, it's propelled back away from you. At the end of your time with the spirit, it pops out of the final mirror just before you enter the center of the labyrinth. And you see its face is sort of like a zombified, like gaunt thing. You can't tell really much about it. You can't really tell what it used to look like, what kind of person it used to be. But it sits out and it seems to be asking for something.
What kind of moisturizer it used to use?
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah, a ghost that wants something.
Alright, I ask it, what's up?
Okay, and are you using Jokio's special ability for that?
Yeah, I think I am.
Okay, go ahead and read that out for people just so they know what you're doing.
Yeah. So, when you try to help a spirit move to the next world, you can, speak your sacred words and roll plus wisdom.
Okay, so you're trying to like let this ghost move on
Yeah.
from its place. Okay, I think that's a nice thing to do for it.
Yeah, it showed us the way. It can help it out. Maybe later get it a boombox.
You need to be the
Still
bard.
not sure what the boombox is
You
about.
need to be the whale.
Everyone needs music, Liam.
I guess you're
It's
right.
a musicless
Guess you're
world.
right.
Makes you cranky.
Keep an eye out for the next Sandy Pug
That's a
game.
good roll.
Yeah, what'd you get?
It's 11.
11 will do it. What happens on an 11?
Well, on a 10 plus, you may call upon the spirit for guidance, advice, or help before the sun next sets.
Okay, so
Just
the spirit starts to dissipate, and you see it sort of flake away into this sort of beautiful blue dust. But as it swirls around you and begins to leave, you feel an element of it etch itself into one of your tusks. Maybe a rune representing its name, or something like that. And you can tell, you know from past interactions with spirits, that if you just touch it, the spirit will appear, and you'll be able to ask it a question, or get a hand on something, that kind of thing.
Very cool.
Have it
I
go get
bet.
you a boombox.
I'm just really happy I got a tattoo on my tusk right now.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Etching.
You step into, or maybe you don't. In front of you is a large, very wide open clearing. The mirrors are still tinted red because of the spell, and you can see on the other end of this there's still mirrors, but less of them. But to get to that point, you would have to get through this clearing. This clearing appears to be what all of the reflections were of originally, the large hallway with the tables and all sorts of stuff. It's much smaller. It's almost a miniature city, but not quite. It's in this awkward middle stage where it's like children's furniture. It's too small for you to use, but not small enough that it's a display thing. It's just kind of weird. Above you, there's the biggest chandelier in the room by far. It's enormous. It would take up this entire room if it was real.
Well, I will attempt to move through defensively.
Mm-hmm.
My companion, which happens to be a huge, slow guard beetle, will sort of take point, and I will skitter around it, ready for anything.
Excellent. And the two of you following or letting...
Oh, I'm hesitating.
Okay.
Slowly walking.
Okay. You're maybe following the ranger in that.
A little more hesitant than the ranger.
Okay.
A little caution.
Your caution turns out to be well-grounded. As you step in, the chandelier snaps and crashes down to the ground, smashing a lot of the tiny furniture. The glass breaks into a million pieces, and if you weren't hiding behind your beetle, you would be damaged or cut into a billion bits based on the last couple of characters you played. There's a beat, there's a moment, and then the glass starts to collect up. It swirls into a tornado of magic, and then out comes this gilded, crystal, reflective golem, or elemental, just made out of shards of finely hewn glass. Looking at it's kind of difficult. It's all fractalized, it's all faceted, but it doesn't look happy to see you.
I shoot it in the eye!
Alright. So you would roll plus dex then for that.
Yeah.
For your bow and arrow.
A fine bow.
Good God.
6 total. So, just failing. Completely.
You let loose a couple of arrows. They ping off of its notably
really
eyeless
hard.
face.
It's really hard. It's all the glints and stuff.
Yeah,
like,
for
it's
sure.
really distracting.
And the beast, as it goes down to punch you, its arm turns into shards of glass again, whirring in a sort of tornado, and it comes over you, and then when it comes away, there's just nothing. There's just nothing left.
Well.
Adios, Red.
Ooh.
I am going to call upon that spirit.
Okay.
And be like, yo, what's up with... where's the weak points? Where do I hit it?
Okay, interesting. Sure. The spirit reveals itself, comes out of your tusk in a wispy, golden haze, different from the blue and the red. Go ahead.
Spirit, can you leave that etching there? Because that's cool. You don't have to be in there anymore. Just leave it.
Sure.
It's cool. Thank you.
The spirit.
Don't get attached to the elephant.
The spirit takes the form of a sort of a royal-looking person. It's got like a cloak. It's got a crown. It looks very young, and it looks very, very androgynous. And it leans into you, and in a soft voice, I know only so much about the crystal golem, but I do know that it holds itself together through vibrational magic. If you could somehow interrupt the vibrations, it may not be able to pull itself back together. You may need to bait it into an attack, though, first. And with that, our pact is done. Thank you very much for all you've done for me. Mm-hmm. And it bursts in a sort of golden cloud. As you were dealing with that, the elemental turns to you and starts charging like a big sort of juggernaut or Incredible Hulk charge. Big arms at either side, rushing to try to smash you into bits. You see its like chest and arms vibrate much faster, and they start turning into that like misty glass that turned red into nothing. What do you do? Okay. You could interrupt it. You could try to...
I was figuring my air cannon is non-lethal, but it does create obviously vibrations in the air to work. Mm-hmm. So maybe I could see if that would disrupt one of the tornadoes. Just to check it out. Maybe enough to save someone. Probably not enough to take the whole thing apart. Yeah, maybe
worth a try. Go ahead and roll plus your dexterity.
That's a 7.
Okay. So on a 7. With something like this, what I tend to do in Dungeon World and other Power by the Apocalypse games is offer a choice. So what I'm going to say here is, I'm going to say that you are the one carrying the package, and that you have a choice here. You can either throw the package to someone else and pull up the air cannon and fire, or fire while holding the air cannon and the package. If you do that, the package is going to get damaged in some way. If you throw it, you're going to get damaged in some way.
I would like to throw the package to our new teammate.
Who is Barnaby the Bard, a humpback whale bard. And Barnaby will be kind of freaked out by getting a package thrown and duck out of the way. Because Barnaby needs to make vibrational music.
I thought you were going to say you don't have hands.
Oh no.
I'm a whale.
I'm a whale with hands.
Got big flippers.
But we'll say the package lands relatively undamaged somewhere behind
Barnaby.
Barnaby.
The electric key.
Go ahead and so you
you
managed to blast off a couple of shots of air at the elemental, and it disrupts the one arm that it was about to wrap around the elephant. Mm-hmm. It turns and falls down on you, crushing you to bits underneath its glass bulk.
Make love not war.
But it did succeed. It loses the ability to use one of its arms.
Okay.
Yeah, but Ricardo is dead.
Died valiantly, doing what I love.
A noble sacrifice. Sorry, I didn't catch the package.
This is a totally different type of character. I am now Waylin, the Berserker Gorilla.
Oh, dang.
Who does not reject violence.
Very much the opposite, in fact.
I would like to create vibrational music to disrupt the golem.
As the bard, that seems like something you could do. Do you have perhaps a move that allows you to do that?
Yeah.
Let's hear it.
Well, when I sing a spell into existence, I get to choose an ally and an effect.
Okay.
And that ally will be our berserker gorilla, and I will provide 1 armor. Then I roll plus charisma, and on a 10 plus the effect happens. On a 7 to 9 it gets complicated.
You know, I would even say that in this instance, Powered by the Apocalypse is a pretty freewheeling system, and so you should be doing this a lot at home, I think. But I'd say in this instance, you don't necessarily have to use this on another person. I can say this is a spell that you're blasting
use it
at.
specifically at the golem.
Yeah, yes. I think that's fine. I think that makes sense.
The golem.
Yeah, go ahead and roll your ability then. I saw the 2 and had a minor panic attack.
10.
10. So you... what's your instrument?
Whale song.
Your voice. Excellent.
Yeah.
So you let out this low... So that's all of our viewers gone. Don't forget to back the game on your way out. Okay, so you let out that beautiful song, and you see the crystal elemental just shudder, shake, and collapse into a pile of shimmering glass on the ground.
I don't know why you're so negative. I think that could be the theme music of Disposable Heroes. Like,
If only-
everyone could listen to it with every game.
If only we had a theme song.
It's true.
Okay, so that's that. The crystal elemental lays defeated on the ground.
They're missing all of your faces. Like, this isn't on camera.
You stand victorious over it, and you presumably gather your things and make your way through the rest of the
They're gonna rate us 4 stars if we don't hurry up.
You arrive up to the throne, and through the tiny door behind the throne, you arrive in this enormous, beautiful gem hoard. More gems, diamonds, emeralds, sapphires than you've ever seen in your whole life. More than you ever thought possible. Hundreds of thousands of them. Beautiful. And it just makes a rainbow all around the big stone walls of the castle. And there's a big stained glass skylight above you all, where the sun is shining through, glinting off everything. And in the center is the golden dragon themselves. It's only known as the golden dragon. They are sleeping. What do you do?
I'll get the package that's lying there.
Right on.
That I had previously discarded, and I try and go wake up the dragon with a nice song so it can receive its package.
Okay.
I won't regale you with a facsimile of such beautiful poetic music, but
Something about eggs and bakey.
The dragon shakes itself awake, rises up above you, chest bared out, and brings in a huge breath of fire, and it says, "Thank you. I've been waiting for this." Takes the package from you, tears it open, and pulls out a little tube of horn wax to keep its tusks nice and shiny and clean.
oh,
Sweet.
very dapper.
It looks down at the three of you, and it considers briefly how well you did. How good is the package together? How quickly did you make it through the room? In the finished version of this game, there will be a set of rules that the GM can follow and the table can follow to determine how this works.
I'm a raccoon chef, that's too fresh, and on that dude's death, I'm a baboon next. God forbid the baboon too should bite it. I'm a gun-lugging llama with a guard dog side.
Welcome back. Sorry about that. The camera died. I'll edit this together so it's seamless. So, there's moves for determining how many stars the characters get after their adventure, and that sort of tells you how well everyone did at the game. It's just a little bit of fun at the end of things. In this instance, the package got banged up a little bit because it got thrown around and wasn't caught, so I'm going to say that the dragon probably scores you 4 stars. And with that, they tell you to get on your way. In the final version of the game, there'll be some slightly more complicated mechanics for determining what those stars mean, especially if you want to run a campaign-length adventure. But for now, for the silly thing, we're just gonna say that you all got 4 stars. You get to continue working at Disposable Heroes. Congratulations.
That's a B-.
We're on probation.
Yeah, as anyone who's ever worked in the gig economy knows, 4 stars means that you are on your last chance. So, with that, thank you very much for joining us here for a quick demo of Disposable Heroes. I hope this gives you a good idea of how the gameplay works. There's a couple of really cool things we didn't really get to show off. For example, the single-player version of the game, where the GM will take up to 4 characters and give them to one player, and that player will then use these as almost like a hand in a card game, and we would have like a one-on-one role-playing session, and it makes for a really, really fun game. But mostly, I think we showed off pretty much everything. Please check out Disposable Heroes. You go to Kickstarter, search for Disposable Heroes if you didn't get here from there, or you may be watching this on Kickstarter or on my Twitter, in which point there should be some links around for you to click on. Go there, check it out. We've got some really great tiers you can join in. We just added a print and play tier where you get a print and play PDF, as well as some bonus extras. That's for those of you who are in an international market and can't we can't ship it to you. For everyone else, by the time this goes up, there should still be a couple hours to get the early bird special. That'll be that'll go in about like 4 hours ish. So jump on that if you watch this between now and then. Otherwise, yeah, please check out the game, share it, let people know about it. Hopefully you enjoyed this. Hopefully we're entertaining enough. And thank you very much again for watching. See ya.
Okay, bye, kids. Once again, wonderful news for the Earth and all living things. Disposable Heroes, the new game by Sandy Pug, is coming out 9/15 of this year. That's 2019. 9/15/19. This wonderful card game where you draw a character from a deck, and it says what animal they are and what that animal person can do, and they're good at this and they're bad at that, and they have skills and abilities. When you die, you draw another card. Oh, that's so innovative. That's so innovative, and that's so innovative. Sandy Pug Games, Disposable Heroes, 9/15. Check it out on the internet at Sandy Pug on Twitter. Yeah. Woo.